Hi, this is MC Shetty for a new episode of my tutorial, my modding tutorials. This is episode 4. In the previous episode we added our first block for the fast furnace. In this episode we are going to add some refinements to that. For example, let's start by making every side a different texture, because now we use this for all sides, but let's make a side texture, a top texture and a bottom texture, and we keep this one as the front texture. So bottom, jump to external editor, so just going to do some quick like this. So this is the bottom texture. Same thing for the side texture. Like that. And finally the top texture. By now you can probably guess what I'm going to do with that. No, otherwise it was not symmetrical. And let's also make the front a bit fancier, that it's easy to recognize. Let's give it another color. Okay, so we have 4 textures for 6 sides of the block. There are a few things that we have to do now. First, we have to use we give state to this block with block states, and in 1.12 and before, this still happens with metadata. That will change in 1.13, but this tutorial is for 1.12, so we will use that. So the first thing we do is we define a property. It's a property direction, facing, and yeah, this is the name. You can put multiple properties on a block, provided they fit in the 4 bits that you have for metadata, so 16 possible values. You can add more properties, but then you have to use get actual state, but that's for a future tutorial. So first you have to set the default state now using this property. So when the block is initialized, we by default let it face to the north. This remains the same. Seems I just found another thing where my tutorial get how is it called again? What was it? Let's check my other mods. I think I had an example here somewhere. Oh yeah. Let's just check the dispenser in vanilla. Get state for placement, it should be. Just override get state for placement. It is marked deprecated, but that doesn't mean you can't override it. You actually have to override it. It basically means that you have to that you should not call it. You should use the block state version, but it is okay to override it because it's the only way to do this. And let's just copy what happens there, and let me explain it. We don't need that. So what is this doing? Get state from placement is called by Minecraft whenever a block is placed in the world at a given position from a given direction, on a given direction, and this is the entity that's placing the block. Because we're in 1.12, we also need to tell the system how to translate from this property to a metadata. Get state from meta and get meta from state. So this is also something that will go away, of course, in 1.13. So basically what we want to do here, let's also check the dispenser, get state. I'll just copy it and explain it. So what this one does, get state from meta, is given the metadata of your block, what's the corresponding block state? So that means the block state representing this block with this property. So we don't have triggered, that's something for the dispenser. So what we do here is we get the front side of our meta, the 7 bits, so the 3 bits. 3 bits of our 4 bits we use to represent this facing, so that means we can store 8 values. We only need 6, but yeah, there is a bit of waste, but that's unavoidable here. And in the other direction, we actually just need this part. So we just we get the value of facing and we get the index of that. So that will be our meta. So that will return a number between 0 and 5, and that fits into these 3 bits. So we have 1 bit unused. You see that the dispenser uses this to store the triggered value, which is a boolean, but you can use it for other purposes. In the future we will probably use that bit as well for something else. So this is sufficient for this side, but now we need to do something here as well. Now we have to say facing, it's a new property, and let's go here. Yeah, it's here. So what we have to add is this section. So basically we now have an extra property in our block state. So this is the block state json, and we have 6 directions where we do something with a transform. So these represent transformations around a certain axis, and so we can represent our 6 orientations. So let's try it out. Something is wrong, obviously. Oh yeah. What is it doing? So this is typical modding, of course. There will always be... Oh yeah, I know. We forgot one method. Create block state. And if you go check the dispenser, this one. So you have to override this to create a block state container with the properties that you want to use. In our case, just facing. And I actually prefer to do it this way, looks cleaner. So this should now work. Yeah, I know what we did wrong. Okay. So, of course, this one is also not right. We have cube.json. We need to use this parent instead of cube all. And then we have down, up, north, south, west, and east. So north is this one. South, that will be one of the sides. West and east. Side. Up, was it up? Up and down. Yeah. Is top. Top, sorry. And down. Okay. And actually, yeah, okay, that's good. There are many things you have to remember when making mods, and it's of course easy to forget such things. Okay, that's better. You see, yeah, these are the old ones. See, front like this. So you see how it is oriented. The way you place it. So this works. By the way, there are also cases where you only want to orient on the y-axis, so horizontal orientation, and you can do that too. It's a different property, and you can this calculation. Actually, this calculation you can have variations of this. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to give it a proper localized name. That's easy. So you just make a directory lang, and in lang you create a file. Not Kotlin. No, misclicked. A file. What was it called again? I think it can be all lowercase, like this. And let's just copy one. We need localization. Fast furnace. So if you check here, set unlocalized name mod id dot fast furnace. That's this one, and tile name has to be there. And we also need an entry for our creative tab. Actually, I think we should do it like this. Yeah, let's test if this works. No, so it's not working, and probably yeah, it's also not working here. This can have to do maybe, hold on. Yeah, I think I know. I forgot. Let's add this. It's another file you have to use on the resource level. Back format. Yeah, and actually hit. Not that that it matters much in this case, but actually I should probably commit after every tutorial. Yeah, you see in one prop it's fast furnace now, and fast furnace. This is still wrong, so let's fix that one. I know what's wrong. This is not for the item group. Item group, that's the one. Like this. No, it's correct. Okay. So the final thing we want to add is a recipe, and I recorded it and somehow apparently forgot to hit the record button, so I will just explain it again here. Basically, in your assets folder you add recipes, and you add JSON files for the recipes. So I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but it's okay. This can be any name. It's loaded automatically. You don't have to register it. It will simply scan all recipe files it can find here. This is the output, my mod fast furnace, a pattern, 3x3 pattern, can also be a 2x2 pattern, or a shapeless recipe is also possible. We use OR dictionary type, so we can use any die for these four, and the normal vanilla furnace. So let's try it out. You see, it works. So now we can craft our fast furnace like this, like that. So this concludes this episode. In the next episode we are going to work on adding an inventory to this, because it's going to need an inventory to melt items, and also a GUI to access that inventory. But that's for next time. See you. Bye bye.